worth the investment in these sorts of systems, because traditionally it's all been run on their time and spreadsheets and email and an oily rag or something like that. So it's, we're trying to ask the committee to sort of evolve a little bit and put things up online and centralize everything and all that sort of thing.
I'm interested when we go through it. Obviously, we will start in a sec if Leona hasn't turned up. I'm just interested in.
She's coming. She's trying to get in, but it wouldn't let her in, so she's having a second attempt. Took Dean twice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Obviously, got a lot of nice stuff to have. I suppose, can some of it be done by using, simple programs like OneNote, and spreadsheets and Teams and things like that. So,
yeah. Well, that's basically how this thing started. Was that it started as a bit of a hobby, because I was on the committee of my footy club, my cricket club, basketball, university, things like that. And I was the token tech nerd that would put in place all those sorts of systems. Like, and I'd connect the OneNotes and PayPal and the website and glue them all together. But it all sort of came crashing down when I left the building, basically.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of why I started building this thing. It was like, okay, we need something super simple that anyone can pick up. Basically, I built it for my mum because she's where I get the volunteer gene from.
Yeah.
And she was on her own little committees, and has been forever with P&Cs and what have you. And it needed to be simple enough for her to use and anyone else that came along. So, for example, my footy club, we had a few labourers who were not IT savvy with respect to labourers. And like my treasurer went from being an engineer to an accountant and back to a bricklayer. And they were all very different people and very different ideas as to what was required to do the bookkeeping. And as a result, the club just suffered because we just lost information with the handover. Because one person would think that Notes is awesome, and the next person would think, why are we on this Microsoft garbage? I'm going to go somewhere else. And so there was just that disparate bits of information all over the place that meant things often broke as we went from committee to committee with it. And the big one for us was that my footy club, because I sort of geek out on this sort of stuff, but effectively I illustrated that our on-field success closely followed our off-field success. So if our admin committee was kicking some goals, pun intended, then our on-field would usually follow with some success as well, because we'd be able to attract better coaches. We'd be demanding better sort of standards across the board, from running our canteen and bar through to the sort of merchandise we had to the what we demanded from our sponsors, which obviously then relates to what sort of equipment you can purchase, how many balls you can pick up, all those sorts of things. And then that obviously retains your coaches who aren't frustrated with, kicking around, balls that should have been thrown out last season, and, bats and cricket nets that are well overdue and need a mend and all that sort of stuff. So all these dots are related in my mind.
Okay.
So that was the sort of catalyst behind it all. Sorry. That's a bit of a rant, I know.
No, that's all right. It's good. You're passionate.
Yeah. Liana.
Oh, there she is.
Hey there. It's a good profile photo. I feel like you're really staring me down. Can you hear us?
Yeah, sorry, I'm here. I'm just finishing off homeschool for the day. It's a bit hectic.
No dramas at all. Well, should we get cracking with it all?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Well, Liz, did you have an agenda? I know that we've run through things already, and you've sort of.
I think if you just share your screen and just take us through what's in there. I've sort of given people a bit of a rundown of what it is.
Yeah, sure.
So you can sort of see it.
Cool. So this is Tidy. The idea is that I could join your cricket club and pick up where any of you have left off. So the idea is that I don't know what sort of handover you've had, but for me, my AGM was at the pub, and the first time I got dragged onto the committee, I didn't even know that that's what was happening. And the handover was kind of the same, with a sort of pat on the back. She'll be right. Give me a call if you get stuck. Whereas this way, the idea is that I can see exactly what's going on around the club, when our AGM is, what events we've got coming up, what tasks are going on around the place. Depending on your role, will dictate how many features you have access to. So obviously not everyone needs access to the finances or memberships or what have you. So not everyone needs access to all these bits and pieces. Similarly, the club might not need to have a web page provider. You might already have one, so you don't even need to use this functionality. So you can switch these things on and off and restrict them according to your committee and what you need. So really quickly, and we can dive into each of these because I know some will say more important or to each of you than others. But we have our contacts areas. So for me, my cricket, for example, was keeping track of all my players. But as a cricket club, I needed to know who our past players were, because quite often halfway through the season, I need to call on past players to come on down and help fill some spots. And similarly, who at the local council do I talk to pull out the football goalposts at the end of the season or start of the season? Who do I talk to at the local council to help fix the gutters on the clubhouse? Who are our supporters, suppliers? Who are our sponsors? All those sorts of contacts. Who are the parents? Who's the local phys ed teacher that we try and coerce to tell the kids about our club? All of those sorts of contacts, all the stakeholders that go well and truly beyond your immediate playing group, I believe needs to be getting tracked in one place for the club. So that's what Tidy is all about. And the idea is that this CRM or context database is really flexible. So you can add as many different fields to each of the contacts as you want. So for example, you can have working with children checks. You can have what school the kids went to. You might have first aid qualifications in here, if they can volunteer, if they're an umpire, things like that. Anything that you need to be tracking or should be tracking, you can track in Tidy, as well as all the normal things that we have out of the box, like date of birth, emergency, contact details, occupations, all that sort of thing. You can track in Tidy. Another neat thing that you can do with Tidy is that you can filter these groups. So for example, we want to add a filter where we filter everyone that what should we do? Has a
Membership.
Or let's go first aid qualified. So let's find all the first aid qualified people, because you've got a first aid course coming up, or you feel at the start of the season more people should know how to use the defib or what have you. So this way, what we can do is save this as a smart group, what we call smart group, and anyone that comes into the club that completes or fulfills this rule will automatically be added to the first aid qualified group, which makes it way easier to communicate to. Yeah, and if you want memberships, so you can do that with memberships as well. So you can say, hey, all the active members, we want to filter them. And again, you can save this as a smart group. And at any given time, you can message everybody in the smart group that is an active member, regardless of what sort of membership. So you might want to say, hey, actually, we want to only have it so only the 300 club members, active members, are in this group. So you can add more and more filters, so you can get more advanced with it all.
Just one query there. With the messaging, is it all just by email, or is there other methods of
Oh, we've got SMS as well.
SMS.
Yeah, so we can jump over into SMS.
Yeah.
So SMS is really simple. You can pick up your group that we just created, such as first aid qualified. And we can say, you know, first aid course on this Friday night. These are obviously good, especially with cricket. If it gets rained out or what have you, you can send an immediate message as opposed to email, which is sort of more for newsletters and things of that nature.
And I see there's a cost there. What's the go there?
Yeah, so the cost is 0.069 cents per SMS. An SMS message is, we write it all down here, but 160 characters. So if I go over 160, it adds another message. And it varies country to country, but I'm presuming that all of your players are in Australia. So that's the
So that's a telecommunications charge, is it?
Yeah, correct. So we just pass that on, and we estimate the cost before you verify it and send it. And the same with email. So email doesn't have a cost. There's a limit of 30,000 emails a month, which I reckon you'll be okay with. But works the same way as the SMS. You pick your contacts or groups that you want to send out to, and then you write in your subject line with it all. So, you know, again, first aid course. We do sync up with MailChimp. If you guys use MailChimp at all, not sure. But it's really easy to pick up an image. Let's just do this. 2021 images. This one, make it a bit smaller than that. So you can say, you know, hi, we've got these merge tags here as well. So we can say, personalize it a bit. Hi, Isaak. First aid course is on this Friday, etc. And the club can send a pretty decent looking email out. So lots of clubs use us because it's just easy to get out a newsletter or get out an email like this. And we also work alongside things like MailChimp, which are more advanced newsletter tools as well. And all of the emails that go out are archived. So from a governance point of view, wondering, you know, what sort of messaging is going out, we're keeping track of all the email going in and out of the system through here as well.
And we would have to have our own email set up for that, obviously.
Yeah, so you've got some choices. So we obviously set up an automated email address and what have you out of the box that you guys can use, which is a Tidy HQ version of it. Or if you want to get more advanced, you can actually set up your own westmeadowscc.org.au type email address with the platform as well, depending on what you want to do. Next, we've got events. So predominantly, I'm more focused on all the off-field type events because on-field was being handled by My Cricket, or what Cricket Australia provides you guys anyway. What I wanted to hand with was all the off-field stuff, so the fundraising events and things like that. So it's a bit like Eventbrite or any of those sorts of tools. So again, we can set up your event really easy, when it starts, when it ends, the location that the venue's located in, venue limit, a description. You can add sponsors, logos, and things like that in here. You can have all sorts of tickets in here as well. So when the ticket sales start and end, any limits requiring specific members, so only some members can purchase this ticket perhaps. You can do all that sort of stuff in here as well. We're automatically going to categorize all the tickets into a specific finance category. So we're starting to do the treasurer's job for them as well automatically. So we're trying to reduce the amount of double handling of the numbers. And we can collect all this custom information as well as we need. And at the end of it, we get a pretty good looking event, which means that it's super easy to go through and have a professional looking events page to share. So we give you this link that you can share on Facebook and wherever else you want to do. One of the neat things is that you can duplicate an event really easily. So one of my first events that I had to run it when I joined the committee was our corporate lunch, and I'd never run one of those or even been to one, I don't think, at that point. So I didn't even know where to start. Whereas if I had this, I could just duplicate the event and get cracking with it, which is really handy. The other idea here is that we're keeping some transparency through the whole thing, so we can see what things need to get done to make this a successful event. We can see what transactions are involved with it, who's attending it. We can manually add people because no doubt you've got guys that say, put me down for 2 tickets, she'll be right, all that sort of stuff. So this way you can actually register people manually for tickets.
And can you send invoices out if you put that in manually, say if they haven't paid or?
Yeah, for sure. So let me just drop this in. Hopefully I didn't just break it. We can go through, I don't know if we've got Harry here. So we can say needs an invoice, and we can say when that's due, when that invoice is due. So it's due in a month's time. Or we can mark it as paid via cash or card or however he did it. So yeah, whatever you'd like to do with it all. So yeah, and so now Harry will have an invoice, and if I go into finances, I'll do that now for you.
Just a query there, Isaac, if you've got multiple people doing data entry,
yep,
like that, does it keep track as to who put the entry in?
Yeah, for sure. So under org settings, we've got an audit trail for everything, or we call it an activity feed.
No, so I was just thinking if like, I'm just thinking of you, Liana, if we're all selling reverse raffle tickets, we're all getting in there and adding things in and something's wrong, it would be nice to know who we can go to who put it in.
Yeah.
For example, yeah.
Yeah, so you can see Isaac did that bit there.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's the idea. So in finances, you can see here that Harry Highpants is already on the. I'd always go here as president to who owes us money, because that's who I was constantly chasing. And the language here is very sort of basic cash book accounting on purpose. So anyone can be the treasurer. So we can chase up Harry for that $80. And at a committee meeting, I just go through this list and say, okay, who are we chasing? Who's a bad debt? Who's, long left the organization, etc. in here. So just like your online bank statement, we're keeping track of all these transactions that are going on. And we've got an overview as well. So I can see what's going on. I can see how we tracked last financial year, where all our money came from, and where it all went out to, and how much money I should have in the bank account, which is obviously important for me as president, because there's some criminal liabilities for me not knowing that sort of information. And lastly, we've got some pretty light on reporting. So from memory, you're using QuickBooks? Yeah, Reckon.
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't got a sync up to Reckon, but you could sort of reconcile this once a month or once a fortnight or however often you want to do it with it all. And the big one for me was sort of comparing like how we're tracking this time compared to this time last year. And so you can sort of see, why we're down and where we're down and all that sort of thing.
So you just mentioned about syncing then. I would imagine we'd be bring directly into this rather than sinking, wouldn't we?
Yeah, correct. So depending on the club, so like I was saying to Liz last time we caught up, some clubs I think are Quicken could even be overkill, like 0 or mild. Where this is just doing a fine job of cash book level accounting. If you guys are tracking assets, liabilities, payroll, those sorts of things, then QuickBooks is probably a better fit for you. But if the club's quite small, so our club would only turn over sort of just in 6 figures. So we'd be reporting GST, which we're tracking tax on this as well. But we didn't actually need anything too heavy to do it. And I was trying to mitigate the issues when we have someone that comes along that isn't an accountant into the club, so they can still understand where all the money's coming from and going to with it all. But our goal is to sync it up into the Quickens of the world in the future. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool.
Isaac, what would stop you from syncing it to Quicken and things like that?
What would stop us?
Yeah, is it just development time, or is it?
Yeah, it's just development time and having 2 hands, quite frankly. So we've started, we're pretty much at the end of integrating in with Xero now. So Xero is the first cab off the rank with our integrations, and then it's a race to mild or Xero, mild or Quicken thereafter.
QuickBooks usually comes last in those sort of things.
Sorry?
No, QuickBooks usually comes last.
Yeah,
Those
I've
sorts of
heard
things.
from some accountants it's better than Xero for a few reasons. I'm not an accountant, as you can probably tell, so I'll just welcome.
Who have we got feedback from? Liana, is that you?
Prescott.
I think it's me. Sorry, I didn't
Oh,
realize.
no worries.
I've just got on. Sorry.
All good.
Where am I? So
Cool, thanks. Next we have meetings. If you want me to skip across any of these, just
Well, meetings is good because this is an area that is usually falls down with minutes and stuff like that. So yeah,
great. Okay, well, I'll show you really quick. Someone set this one up. Finance subcommittee. This is obviously a bit of dummy data. Set up your agenda. And if I'll just show you how to edit the meeting real quick. So obviously we're talking DOSH, that's the technical term that this person's using. We might be talking about reporting. We might be talking about bad debts, sponsors, past players perhaps, and we'll close the meeting. So we set up our meeting like so. You could have owners for all of this stuff as well if you want. Is the agenda item for noting, for discussion, for action. So however you want to do it, it's really simple. If you really want to be a stickler, you can have duration to try and make sure that we're going to follow a timeline for these things as well. And you can obviously add attachments and all that sort of thing as well. So we save our meeting. We've set it up. We've said where it's located. We also have Zoom in here as well. So if you're running your meeting like we are now, you can drop in your Zoom integration if it's been connected properly. In here, we can send out our invites to everybody that needs to come. So we might send it out to Stuart and David, perhaps, and send some invites. Then we can start the meeting. So the big idea of this was to talk about money. Money runs the club. And if everyone's looking at this screen, generally speaking, the meeting goes to plan, like it goes to the agenda, and we're not talking going off on tangents, talking about things that we don't need to be. So the idea is that we can talk about different things like decisions, any tasks that might fall out of it. So maybe there's a task to get, I don't know, prepare better financial reports. We're going to assign this one to David. We're going to say there's a due date for next month, etc. So you can go through your meeting like so. And the advantage is for all of this is that we get to the end of the meeting, we close the meeting, we hit save and close. And what the system will do is it'll automatically format all these bits and pieces together. I won't make it public. But I will print the details. So the system will automatically generate a PDF. So all the meeting minutes, I'll just zoom out, are done for you. So it's recording all the attachments. So there's an attachment there that we've got. Just pull this in again because I just opened up that report instead. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just smashing the system a little bit at the moment. Of course, this happens. But the PDF is formatted to an ASX type standard. We're keeping a track of all the attachments, decisions, all the tasks coming out of it as well. So David will have already got an email now saying that he's got to prepare better financial reports and it's due on the 26th of August. So for me, especially as president, I just shoot from the hip to get things done throughout the course of the meeting. And then I'd rely on those people to remember it and also rely on me to remember it at the next committee meeting. Because quite often I wouldn't even get meeting minutes before the next meeting, more often than not. Or if people did, no one would read them anyway. So the goal here is to automate a bunch of this sort of stuff. So it's really easy to understand and to generate both the meeting minutes, to hit, tick that big governance box with it all, and also make it easier on all these committee people. That for me, that was the biggest reason why we struggled to get committee people, was that one, they saw all the existing committee pulling their hair out when we had it. Because we'd have these long committee meetings that went for far too long. I'd get home for a cold dinner, which wasn't appreciated by anyone in the family. And that isn't a great way to keep things or to sustain that relationship with your committee. So the idea here is to reduce the amount of time needed to be in a meeting and to get things done, because you should already understand what's outstanding with it all. I might have broken something.
Question, if I may. So if you're using the same topics in each of the meetings,
yep.
Does it save into like an action register or a recurring set of actions?
Abbreviated tasks.
Yeah. Yep. So you'll find all these in tasks. Let me just zoom back out. So here under all tasks, you'll see a bunch of these things. So what was it? Prepare better financial reports has fallen into our tasks area. So the idea is that, again, most people look at and do stuff for their club throughout the workday or in the evenings, not necessarily at the club on a Thursday night, because quite often we're throwing the ball down on a Thursday night and we're having a beer and we might stick around for the committee meeting. We're not preparing. We do all that sort of stuff typically through the workday or sort of after work. So the idea here is that I could log in at any time and see what's been allocated to me. So that's my tasks, and what's been allocated to everyone else around the committee as well. Because again, quite often we'd have guys that would look at this, quite often mums, to be perfectly honest, and they'd say, oh, do you need a hand with XYZ, applying for that grant or picking up the balls or whatever it might be? and everyone would be on the same page as to what needs to get done for our club for the club to be successful. So yeah, all those action items are falling out into this task registry, so you can keep track of it all.
Isaac, can you update those tasks as the status of them?
Yeah, for sure. So you can obviously mark them as done.
Yeah, but like, can you have commentary as to what's going on with them?
Yeah. So you can add a note here as well. So you can say, you know, updated David with some examples of reports, for example. So we want to get a lot better at this screen. But yeah, you can add notes and all those sorts of things. You can also have them repeat as well. So if this preparing better financial reports is a monthly or an annual thing that needs to happen every year on, you know, June 20th or something along those lines, you can...
Like Liz pay for the website so we don't crash.
Yeah, correct. So all those sorts of things as well. Paying for the web domains, websites. The other ones that we'd always get was preparing for the AGM, because that's the same time every year. So the good thing about sports clubs is that there's a real cadence to them, because, you know, like pre-seasons these months, in season of these months, post-season of these months. We know post-season we need an AGM, we need finance reports done, we need to report to Cricket Vic or the local league or whoever. We need to report to local government, all those sorts of things. You know, pre-season, we want to advertise and promote and try and attract some new blood into the club. We, you know, start a school year, we need to go talk to the phys ed teacher to try and get him in his ear to put cricket on the agenda and send, you know, the young folks down to the club, all that sort of stuff. So that's the real sort of power as well with, I know I'm jumping into tasks now, but you can get these repeating tasks, which make it really easy. So going back to my example at the top of this, where getting, you know, even me becoming the president of my club was a pint of beer, she'll be right, give me a call if you get stuck. That was the kind of handover that I had. And the rest of the time, average tenure is 2.5 years for a volunteer. And I reckon it's a year trying to work out all the holes. And then the second year, you're trying to get out. And the third year, you finally manage to get out. Whereas this way, the idea is that I became president and I've instantly got all these jobs assigned to me for the year. So I know what's sort of coming down the pipe, as opposed to going to a president's meeting and just getting a whole lot of more mud thrown at me.
And you can also look at your completed, so that, you know, you can actually go back and see what tasks the previous president had, so that you can sort of have a quick look to go, all right, these things are coming up.
Yeah.
So it's basically what we've been doing with our spreadsheet, but obviously a lot smarter.
Yeah, but the thing is, Paul, is you control that spreadsheet. No one else can. And
I can if I give you OneNote, if I give you access.
And then you leave and somebody else comes in with a form of communication.
I suppose just a question for you.
Clubber never run those sheets, and I'll take what Maddie and I do with the registration. You know, we have a shared spreadsheet, but it's you've constantly got to set that up, and you know, you've got that information. I've got this information. There's a lot of double handling.
Just a question for you, Isaac. In terms of tasks, who completes them, as in signs off on them as being done?
The individuals. So you are relying on the committee to...
That's what I don't like. Can you put a system in where the task has to be reviewed before it can be closed?
We don't have that system. What we do is we've got a thing called followers. So, for example, I'll just go into one like, I don't know, book the long tables. So in here, we can say, you know, it's really important and Isaak needs to know when this thing gets done. So you can mark him as a follower. So when David marks this as completed, Isaak will also get a note saying, hey, David's just marked this as complete. You know, and he can raise the flag or ask David another question or make sure that he's done the job or what have you with it all.
You've also got overdue there. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, overdue.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, and I see you've got to send reminders. So if someone hasn't done it, you can send them a reminder.
Yeah, exactly right. So, like I said, this part I would constantly be in because, at work during the workday, I think, Jesus, I've got to get so-and-so sorted out. I've got to tell the coach X, Y, Z. I've got to, order new merch or whatever it is. And this way I can jot it down and sort of democratize it a little bit more rather than just sort of all going through me as the pres, because I was the big sort of bottleneck with it all. And I saw that constantly, which is why we just burn people out. Whereas this is really trying to sort of democratize it. And if I get hit by a bus, it's in a, common place that everybody can sort of see. And obviously the other scenario that unfortunately happens with clubs is, someone gets fed up, throws their hands in the air and storms off with all the information in their head or tucked under their arm. So that's the other sort of scenario that we're trying to mitigate here with it all being in one place. The other thing which I started to run into was these roles. So you would have picked up on that. So we're at the pub, we're at the AGM. Isaac's now stood down as president. Congrats, Isaac. And David has stepped into the role. That's literally the handover. Obviously, there's a bit more to it, but in here you can obviously write down all their responsibilities, accountabilities, who they report to, all those sorts of things. You can print these roles out as well and print them out ready for the AGM, which would have saved me hours at the very least. And you can sort of start to see what vacancies you've got on around the place. And if Sally's putting her hand up to be the functions and events manager, she can automatically see what's going to be asked of her with it all, which is really neat. Then I've just changed the president to David. If I change, secretary back to Isaac, they changed roles. And now if I go back into my tasks, I won't have the president tasks anymore because I'm no longer the president, but I will have all the secretary tasks because I've now fulfilled that role. So instantly I know what's coming up for the club and know what needs to get done around the place, which is obviously really handy for me, going from one role to the other, as opposed to sort of guessing and figuring it out or making it up as you go. Any more questions about tasks at all?
No, that seems to be good. Can you access it from a mobile phone, Isaac?
Yeah, you can. Lots of people use it from their mobiles.
If you're down the club on a Thursday night and you just want to have a look at something, you can do it.
Yeah. It's not crash hot, I wouldn't say, but it's built for mobile responsive. We are wanting to make it a lot better, but it definitely works.
And can we hook this up to our software system, Liz, so that everything gets automatically put in for you?
As in
on a sales system?
Not unless it's integrated. But we could have for example, on our computers at the club, we can have this program, well, as long as you've got internet, I assume.
Yeah.
So you can at any time go to the point of sale screen that's not being used and bring all this up.
Yeah.
So it's handy right there when you're at the club as well. As long as you've got internet, you can get into it anywhere.
Yeah. Do we want to go into these areas as well?
Yes, please.
Cool. So I'll truck into memberships. So we've got a really simple membership. I don't know if you're thinking about using it for player registrations or just the non-playing registrations.
What I'm probably a bit interested in is the, for instance, how you would put the link out on Facebook and then they can just log straight in
Okay.
pay their membership and how it's all logged.
Yep. No worries. Well, first of all, to set up a membership's really easy. Name, description, what value they're getting out of it all. A cover image. Hopefully we can pick a better cover image than this. I think I've got one. There you go. If it's fixed or rolling, so that's a rolling membership is I sign up for today and it goes for 12 months from today. Fixed is I sign up at any point and it starts from the 20th of January. I can have individual or family memberships in here as well. How much it is, finance category that we're going to put this money next to. And we can also auto renew this. So every 12 months, we'll automatically charge Isaak another $300, which is handy. Membership field options. So this is your registration forms. You can stick in as many of these custom fields that you've set up as you like. So you can capture if they're first aid qualified or whatever it is that you want to be tracking with all of your members. You can have terms and conditions. You can have welcome emails that are all automated and personalized as well. You can have automatic reminders going out for renewal, for expiration as well. And you can notify specific administrators when they register. So if you've got an F Troop membership or a past player membership and you've got a past player liaison or something that needs to be aware of all the past players that sign up for it, you can put his name here or her name here and they can get an email for all of those. You can also dictate sharing. So admin only, I use these for life memberships because the only place we had life memberships recorded was in the clubhouse. So this way I could keep a track of all the life members that we had going on here. We also set up memberships for our A grade coaches and presidents and things like that as well, because that was the president's club and things like that. So you can have admin only. You can restrict some memberships to specific groups, which I don't think would be too relevant for yourselves. That's more for like Rotary clubs where they want to restrict only some people being able to see the membership. And you've got public memberships as well. So this is open to Joe Public with it. And then you've got this public link, which is what you'd post on your Facebook and wherever else you want to, which then goes out to, let me just save this. You can, post around and people can then register with it all, whether it's for Isaak or whoever it is that they're purchasing the membership for that way. So that's, which one was that one? 300. So that's memberships, quite easy to set up and administrate with it all. We also have digital membership cards. Now I know you guys already have membership cards with your point of sale system, so this probably isn't overly relevant to you guys. It'd probably just confuse things perhaps more than anything. But I'll leave that one for another time.
We're actually not using them, so.
Yeah, well, this just works with your iPhone or Android wallets. So it's just on your phone, and it will automatically update based on whether they've paid up or not. So if Isaak fails to pay and renew, then your digital card will automatically get an update saying, hey, he's no longer a member, which is the big advantage, obviously, over, say, physical cards or something like that beyond.
So could we use this for example, we have a, what's it called? Medallion Club, which is basically they pay $50 at the start of the season and they get their drinks at $2 cheaper. So is this something that you can give a member, like a digital card that they can just bring up on their phone? So if you're standing behind the bar and you want to know whether they're a Medallion Club member, they can just flash it from their phone?
Correct, yeah. So Isaak can bring it up on their phone. It's just like you get the digital cards for your Qantas onboarding flights and what have you, which I think most people are kind of used to now with COVID, etc. And it's got a little QR code, so I think your POS may scan them in or not. but that's a possibility. But yeah, it'll automatically or dynamically update. So Isaak can just bring it up, show you the medallion, and show that he's an active member with it. I think that's about it with memberships. Anything else?
What's the storage, the document storage?
Yeah, so document storage is a bit like your Dropbox or Google Drive. So the reason that I built this thing was I had to drive 3 hours out to a farm to pick up our constitution because nobody knew where it was. So the idea was that it's a super simple place to keep everything in together with the rest of the administration. We did have Dropbox, which was set up by yours truly, but when I left the club, it was kind of hard to manage. I still left it there, but it was obviously all going through me, which was a bit of a pain in the backside for the club with it. So this is just a really easy way to set it up and keep track of all your logos and whatever else you might have, policy documents and bits and pieces. Our logo was another one where we had to go to our screen printer because we didn't have the high resolution version of it. So this is just an easy way to keep all your documents and bits and pieces all together as well.
And your shop, because merchandise is one of the things that the guy taking over the merchandise is looking at apps to advertise and have them purchase.
Yep.
And order merchandise.
Yeah, so really easy to set up your merch. Set up your product name, how much you're selling it for, how much it costs, any images that you have of it, the details around how it's built, any variations. So that's sizing, colors, anything like that. You can do it that way. You can have products that are, again, visible to only the administrators or specific groups. So, for example, we had jackets that were only available to our top grade players, and that only they could purchase the special gold edition jackets for warm-up. Or you can obviously have everything available to the public as well. And you're tracking orders as well, so you can see what's still outstanding and what's been fulfilled, completed. You can have shipping options such as postage, so $10, and there's some insights and what have you. We've also got notifications, so if a t-shirt's been purchased, Isaac's going to get an email with the complete details of that purchase, so he can hand the t-shirt over knowing that it's, that Liz ordered a size M t-shirt or what have you.
So Isaak, where are they purchasing these from? Are they purchasing them from, they have to log into this site to do that, or?
Yeah, correct. So,
So we want our members to be.
Aren't you putting it up like a link onto Facebook and then they purchase from there, Isaak?
Yeah, so you can do it either way. So you can link out directly to this product and they can purchase the size, color that they want. They can see the availability. They can add it to their cart and check out that way. You can link out to the entire shop if you want. So it really depends on what you're after and what you're thinking with it all.
So say, for instance, we put out a post. Can you just run through if we were to put out a post for merch, what that would look like from the member point of view, having to purchase?
Yeah, so if you're posting it out on Facebook, for example, you could link out to the whole shop, all of the products, like so. If you're linking out to the specific t-shirt, you can link to this specific t-shirt as well and just post on Facebook.
So when they click on the link on Facebook, this is what they're going to see? Correct,
yeah. So they'd see the, cricket hat, cricket shirts, balls, whatever else that you've got for sale up here, and they can go through.
That isn't your website, this is Tidy HQ.
Yeah, this is the Tidy HQ website.
Yeah. Okay.
So they can't see anything else in the program, Paul, just it'll just take them to this section.
To the interface for merchandise. Yeah, no worries. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's
and
just
same thing with ticket sales, you know, for fundraising. If you were like our beanies, for instance, you could have put out the link on the beanies, would have come in here, they'd purchase it, we'd have all the information. And
Yep.
you can also have them pay for it through this process as well.
So if we're selling them via this and the point of sale system, you really want to do it for via this, don't you? Rather than the point of sale system.
Yeah, obviously, like point of sale system definitely has a place because, you know, I know what reality's like, and guys will turn up over the bar and they'll want to purchase a t-shirt, and you're going to try and accept their money there and then and get on with it. We do want to integrate in with point of sale systems. We have had discussions with other point of sale provider, not the one that you guys are going with, but you know, our goal is to integrate with as many things as we can with it all. But obviously, I think that going through here is great because there is a level of stock control as well, so you can see how much or how many balls you've got left or how many t-shirts you've got left, etc. Or you should have left.
But that's only if you're doing it through both. Like if someone's selling something on the point of sale system and someone's selling something here, it's not going to marry up.
Yeah, you've got to, whoever's your merch manager needs to obviously be able to reconcile it on the regular.
If I was to pull a report out on the point of sale system, I could enter or adjust the quantities.
Correct. Yeah. So you can manually just adjust these quantities and just say, hey, you know, we've only got 30 medium blacks now because 19 were purchased via the point of sale system. So yeah, you can, that's what I was suggesting, manually reconciling it every week or month or what have you with it would totally work.
Can you, if you're talking about people that are at the, you know, at the front door of the club rooms and wanting to buy a shirt, like you were saying before, Liz, or at the canteen, you know, the bar, do you put up a Q code that says merch and it links straight to this?
Yeah, you could. I like where your head's at, Dan. That's pretty innovative, and that would totally work. So yeah, you can totally set that up. I really like that idea. It's very easy to generate a QR code from a link because all you have to do is know what this link is, copy that link, and then put it into a QR code generator, of which there are many, and yeah, print it out and put it on the wall, and away you go.
The same for membership, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. So the same for the membership as well. There you go. So yeah, you just print out this image here and you'll go straight to that shop product or shop, and the same with the membership. So you could just copy and paste that URL and generate your QR code.
Okay, so does that mean you're hosting our shop as a marketplace?
Yeah, correct. If you choose to use this as the shop, that's, yeah, we'd be providing all that for you.
And is there a cost to that?
No, so we've just got one flat price for it all. So we're $890 per year for all of this functionality, as well as the web pages as well, which we're yet to get to.
Is that pretty, I would imagine that's pretty easy to set up, just drag and drop photos in and we have a quick look at that?
Yeah, so, sorry, is there a comment? So yeah, web pages is super simple. Again, the backstory is I built this all singing, all dancing website, which was just too complex and it all fell in a heap when I left. So the idea here is that if you can write an email, you can update the history page for the club. Again, you can change the visible to setting. So some clubs have pages that are only visible to the board or the committee, or only visible to the coaches, where they put coaches' notes that all the coaches share, or training drills and things like that in here.
Yep. So could you do your memberships and merchandise and stuff through here where, and it has a link so that, you know, people can when they're looking up your membership fees, for example, there's a link there that they can click on and it'll take you straight to where they need to pay, or can it send you to My Cricket, for example?
Yeah, so you can set up external links. So lots of groups have external links out to the My Cricket fixtures or results or stats or whatever it might be. So if we click on this, we can edit. So you just change that URL to your My Cricket URL and call this, My Cricket, and that's mycricket.com.au or what have you.
So our current website that we've currently got, we would link it to that web page, would we?
No, you create a whole new one, and instead of having like for example, our website costs us $80 a year. It's not much, but I don't know, Maddie. Maybe you can shed a bit.
Maddie's more of our expert on our.
Yeah, like I don't know what we can and can't do on that website, whether we can do links or not. But I just wanted you to see the website side of things to see how you can put all this sort of stuff up. You have your merchandise page, so people can look at your merchandise and hit the button basically and order and pay.
Yeah.
Everything's again all in the one spot. We're not jumping from this program to that program. And as I say, I don't know whether we can even put a link to our shop or have a merchandise page on.
Well, that website looks better as it is.
Yeah, so this is your current one. And this is an example of Para Hills, who uses Tidy to run their website. So it looks somewhat similar with all their sponsors down below the About Us. And under About Us, they've got their history pages. They got links out to the My Cricket page for them, just like we spoke about. Club news, they've got them here. Sponsors, they've got links to their memberships because they're running memberships through us as well. Events, so they don't have anything coming up, but any past events is here as well. So they've got all that in here. So this is automatically done for you. So there's no double handling. There's no having to talk to the web guy to set all these things up. The system sort of handles it all themselves. They've also got the shop, by looks of it, set up where they're selling all their playing tops and all that sort of stuff in here as well. So I'd imagine if you choose to replace your current website with what we're offering, it'd look something like this.
And probably that would be your job, Maddie. How hard that be? What sort of we might need to chop out at some point. Try and work it out.
It's not hard to do, Paul. I've built a couple of websites. It's pretty much, it's like a template. So you can design your pages and decide what you want on your pages, and it's a template. So you pretty much drag and drop your photos in, and there'll be fields that you can fill in. Is that right? Am I?
Yeah, and a lot of these sorts of things you guys have already got in your existing web page or website.
Just about a copying and pasting over.
Correct. Yeah. So a lot of it, I hope you'll be able to just copy and paste over.
We've got files, so all those files we should just be able to take out of there and then put back in to the new one by the sounds of it. Is there a limit on storage?
25 gigabytes, which
because the current one's only 5 and we're struggling to get everything in, so that's good.
Yeah, okay. Is that because you got videos and photos?
Yeah, photos and some annual books and things like that, which take up quite a...
Yeah. No, you should be right. No one's hit their head on the 25 gig just yet. But if you do, let us know. We're pretty liberal on that front. So I'm not too worried about that. And you'll be doing bloody well if you do hit your head on it. I'll be intrigued with it.
Yeah.
But everything else is pretty easy to set up. And it automatically ties into all these other areas that I spoke to before. And just finally, like we've already spoken about it, but there's a bunch of additional apps. So our platform, the whole idea of it was that I wanted to plug into whatever I could, because as far as I'm concerned, your data is your data, and if you need to plug into point of sale systems, or we've had chats with cricket as well about plugging into my cricket. Obviously, they're replacing that this year or next year, so we'll try and plug into their new one. But the whole idea of this is to sort of plug into whatever tools you think will make your life easier.
Just, I noticed we can link it to Facebook. Can we link it to Instagram at all? Or?
We don't have an integration with Instagram, but I'd be really keen to hear what you're thinking on that front.
Look, we've probably got 80% of our Instagram's really growing for us, so it's probably got more of a younger crowd.
Yep.
On that rather than Facebook.
Well, what you could do, there's some third-party tools that obviously you can link out like these guys have with just a badge. And there's some third-party tools that will also just import in your latest Instagram photos and have it as a sort of rolling list of images.
Yeah.
So there's a few tools that you can use to drop in Instagram.
Have you heard of Team App at all? Or?
Yeah, 100%. I actually speaking to Robert, Team App last week.
Yeah, so we've been using that pretty much since it started. So are you got plans to link in with that at all? Or?
Yeah, if he'd let us. He's got a closed system at the moment. So I've been trying to twist his arm for about 8 years to let us plug in. But he's taking the opposite view to myself with, the data and all that sort of thing. But I'd love to plug into Team App, to Play HQ, who's about to do my cricket stuff as well as the AFL next year. I just want to plug into everything, because as far as I'm concerned, clubs are just trying to do the best they can with whatever tools they can get their hands on, and whether that's us or Team App, we can let the market decide. But I think it's really important that clubs just have their data going in the direction that they need it to. But yeah, short answer is not yet. I'd love to. I keep on pushing to. If you want to drop a line to Robert, Team App, please do so. It'll only help our cause.
No worries. So the ideal, just to sum it up, is everyone in the club gets access to this, and we just give them different levels, and we hope to.
Only a committee.
Yeah,
members
it's everyone, isn't it?
So you invite only your admins.
Okay,
to the back end here. So this is all your committee and your extended committee.
Oh, and then we try to get them to go to our webpage.
Correct. Yeah. And so as you go through and purchase your membership or your shop item or event ticket or what have you, I will set up an account for myself, because obviously Isaak, we need to provide a history to Isaak that he's purchased these tickets for this amount of money, and have a record of his receipts, etc. So Isaak will have a record in your database, but he doesn't need to be an administrator on the back end of it all. So everyone sort of gets an account when they need to. But yeah, from the back end, you only need to be inviting the committee to be managing all the, the heavy lifting that these clubs don't magically run themselves with.
So it's just login. Someone you just give login details to all the members, and
yes, that's just invite Liz at something,
and then she'll just need to log on every time she wants to do something. Yeah,
correct. So then you get this address at the top here, which is just westmeadowscc.tidyhq.com or whatever you choose, and you just go in here and at the top right you'd have your login, and that you just switch to the admin. We call it the admin dashboard, and that would switch you over to the admin side of your club, so you can manage your administration.
Well, thanks, Isaak. I haven't got any other questions. What about anyone else?
No, none from me. Other than, how'd you come up with the name, Isaac?
Well, originally it was Tidy Club, and I had lots of really good names, but they're all taken with their web domains, so you sort of get whittled down pretty quickly. And so it was Tidy Club, and then lots of organisations started using us that weren't clubs, like associations and Chamber of Commerce groups and what have you. So club was below them or something. So we decided to go Tidy HQ, which was a little bit more generic with it all, but nothing more imaginative than that, I'm afraid.
Brilliant. Well done.
Thank you.
Thanks, mate. Well, if you can send Liz the link to this YouTube, we can pass it on to the rest of our committee and we'll get back to you, yeah? Unless anyone else got any questions.
Silence is golden.
Right.
I'll leave it there.
Sorry, I use Dynamics for work, so I'm a big tick for it.
Oh, great.
On CRM system. Yeah, it's pretty
So,
good.
sorry, what do you use for work, Liana?
Dynamics, which is a similar CRM system. So everything that we've been shown was music to my ears.
Yeah.
It's a Microsoft Dynamics product. It's Microsoft.
Yeah.
A lot more complex.
Yeah,
Hopefully
very
it's not
complex.
as hard
Yeah,
as
that's cool.
Microsoft.
Yeah, but no, your system looks really good.
I'm the same in my business, you know, like I've got my reservations and website and, you know, everything's connected and I literally sit on the couch. I can hear a booking come through. Because I've got my phone with me, I'll have a look at my email, it sends me an email. I go and go, oh, yep, they've just booked for October. I don't have to do anything right now. And it just dumps it in my system and I just go back to watching TV. And I don't have to do anything. And, you know, payments can come through, the whole bit, sends emails out, everything's automatic. I do nothing.
Yeah, I think the data sharing looks really good on this as well.
Yeah, that was the idea. I'd come from that Salesforce Dynamics type background, and that's what I wanted for my club. But those sorts of platforms are super expensive and they're really complex and require way too much customization and costs for expensive.
No, yours looks, I'm pretty impressed with what you've done for sports, our sports level anyway.
Cool.
Yeah, I reckon it looks really good. I mean, obviously, initially it'll be a lot of setting up, a lot of data transferring and importing, things like that. But if we shared the workload on that, it wouldn't be too bad. We'll create some tasks for it.
Yeah, I would take too long. Like, if all the committees are behind it and they all understand sort of the reason why.
Suppose that's the only reason I want that link to show everyone is to make sure everyone's going to use it.
Yeah.
Because if you get some people, it's no good if only a couple of people use it. It's got to be the whole committee using it. And it's got to be the habit of logging in and doing stuff. And otherwise, you know, I fear you're going to use something like this, you need to use its full potential.
Yeah, absolutely. Change management's always the hardest thing. So I think you're spot on with making that happen, which is the whole idea behind that tasks area as well.
Or at least if they're not checking in, at least if they're not linking in, you can still send them the emails about their tasks. And I think that's the main important thing. Third, probably the committee members that wouldn't log in, because there will be some that won't log in and check this and do whatever they're meant to do with it.
Paul, you can literally go through that list and go, oh, that hasn't been completed. Tick the box and it'll send them an email to go.
Well, yeah, it's a lot easier than what I can't. Like I think I'm on the right track with my spreadsheet. But this will just make it a lot easier to administer, I think.
And the thing is that once you're no longer president and somebody else comes along, there's a system already in place. You know, for example, Hubber didn't have a system like yours, and it was just you typed up emails all the time. You know, there was no.
So what I've noticed of mine is I can look back 12 months now and look at, okay, we need to do this, we need to do that, which is basically yours is a smoother way of doing it, Isaac, you know, in perpetuity.
Yeah, exactly.
Look, I think it's looking good. We'll just get that link, send it to the rest of the committee, make sure that the key people, in particular, probably without looking at the committee members, probably our merchandise person is going to be on board with it. Maddie, you probably need to have a look at the start of this presentation. It was all about the registration of people and making you're across all that.
Yep.
And the minutes are a good thing, but I do notice they are hard to do whilst you're talking. So I need someone who is going to use that feature whilst we're conducting meetings and do it properly. So
Yeah.
Or at the very least, they can still take their notes and fill it in that night and hit the button. you
Yeah.
know.
Or you're forced to slow down. One or the other.
if I slow down, I'll go for 4 hours.
Yeah. I hope not. I hope not.
All we got to do is just stop you talking, Paul, and just get you to talk faster.
Yeah, there's a fair bit of other chatter that goes on apart from me. Trust me. All right.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Isaac. I'll stay in touch.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
that. I'm impressed.
Thank you.
Thanks, Liana.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye.